Trump's Space Force dream program become downfall. U.S. lawmakers turn down Space Force amendment. President Donald Trump is proposing a new branch of the military called the Space Force to defend the U.S. in the event of a space war. The House Armed Services Committee on Wednesday voted down a move to slow the work for the Space Force program, The Hill wrote. The amendment was proposed by Ohio Republican Mike Turner during the panel's markup of the National Defense Authorization Act. Turner argued that since the feasibility of a Space Force remains unclear, the lawmakers should wait for a pertinent assessment by the Pentagon to be released this summer. In its portion of the 2019 Defense Policy Bill, the House Armed Services Strategic Forces Subcommittee is proposing a new U.S. Space Command in lieu of a separate space service. However, Republican Mike Rogers and Democrat Jim Coper, the top lawmakers on the committee and leading proponents of establishing a separate Space Corps, insist that an independent space service is the best way to go. President Donald Trump announced his idea to establish a Space Force when meeting with Marine Corps service members in March. Space is a war-fighting domain, just like the land, air, and sea, Trump said. We may even have a Space Force, develop another one, Space Force. We have the Air Force, we'll have the Space Force, he added. Earlier this month, Trump told members of the Army Academy football team that in addition to the 5 branches of the military we are actually thinking of a 6th, that would be the Space Force. Does that make sense? While the Outer Space Treaty of 1967 bans the placement of weapons of mass destruction in Earth's orbit, there's no comprehensive agreement regarding the use of space-based weapons, nor any international accord on what, exactly, is considered a space weapon. Asked space lawyer Michael Leistner for the details on whether or not Trump's plan could land the states in legal trouble. The basic answer? There is none. It's complicated. Judging the legality of Space Force comes down to an old, but still important document, called the Outer Space Treaty, which went into effect in 1967. It's a critically important document for space law. It essentially says that space belongs to no one nation or private company or individual. It's intentionally vague, according to Leistner, and that's where everything gets complicated. Now, what is space? We can talk hours about legalities of where space is, because there is no internationally recognized definition about where the atmosphere ends and space begins. Even though any weapon of mass destruction is prohibited from being placed in space, it doesn't prohibit military activity so long as it's for peaceful purposes. Leistner tells, when if Space Force violates the Outer Space Treaty. But, it depends what the mission of the Space Force is. I really detest the term war in space because this isn't a science fiction movie, I mean, we recently recognized space as a domain or a theater of war. But we're not fighting for territory in outer space. This raises some important questions, especially considering Trump's speech back in March didn't sound so peaceful. My new national strategy for space recognizes that space is a war-fighting domain, just like the land, air, and sea, the president told a crowd of military members in San Diego, California. We might even have a Space Force. Develop another one. Perhaps the only way to really understand the legality of a Space Force is to update the Outer Space Treaty. Leistner says he thinks the document is of another time, and that it was created for Cold War issues. Perhaps it's due for some revisions. Let's just hope the ambiguity gets cleared up before we are in need of some real-life JDIS. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.